Imagine yourself running on a hot day. Then, you start sweating. Do you ever wonder why and how this happens? What's happening inside your body that makes this response automatic? The answer lies in one of the fundamental principles of human physiology, the negative feedback mechanism. Today, we'll explore how this system maintains homeostasis, which is the internal balance within our body in response to internal and external changes. Negative feedback is a control mechanism where the body counteracts an internal or external change to maintain stability inside the body. When a variable moves away from its optimal range, receptors recognize the shift, transmit signals to a control center, and effectors initiate actions to restore stability. This continuous cycle helps prevent drastic changes and ensures that the body operates effectively. Now, imagine a woman in labor experiencing the immense contractions of her uterus. As the baby's head presses against the cervix, nerve endings are stimulating the release of oxytocin. This hormone amplifies uterine contractions, pushing the baby further down the birth canal. Each contraction leads to more oxytocin release, creating a loop that escalates until the baby is born. Three of the best examples of negative feedback mechanisms are body temperature regulation, blood glucose control, and blood pressure regulation. When your body temperature rises above normal, thermoreceptors detect this change. The hypothalamus, the body's thermostat, signals sweat glands to produce sweat, which cools the body as it evaporates. Blood vessels near the skin dilate, allowing more heat to escape. Once the body cools, the signals stop, maintaining a stable temperature. The opposite happens when you're cold. Shivering and blood vessel constriction work to conserve heat. After eating, blood glucose levels rise. The pancreas detects this increase and releases insulin, which helps cells absorb glucose, lowering blood sugar back to normal. If glucose levels drop too low, the pancreas releases glucagon, which signals the liver to release stored glucose. When blood pressure rises, baroreceptors in the arteries send signals to the brain. In response, the heart slows its rate and blood vessels dilates to decrease pressure. If pressure drops too low, the opposite occurs. Heart rate increases and blood vessels constrict. This process prevents conditions like hypertension and shock. One of the classic examples of positive feedback is the Ferguson reflex. As labor begins, think about the baby's head pressing against the cervix. This pressure stimulates nerve endings, sending signals straight to the brain. In response to this signal, the brain, particularly the posterior pituitary gland, releases oxytocin into the bloodstream. Now, oxytocin facilitates uterine contractions. Once released, it travels to the uterus, binding to specific receptors on muscle cells, which leads to stronger and more frequent contractions. This action pushes the baby further down the birth canal. But that's not all. The pressure from the baby's head also stimulates the production of prostaglandins in the amniotic sac, cervix, and uterine tissues. They help soften and dilate the cervix, making it easier for delivery, and they amplify the action of oxytocin, increasing the strength and frequency of those uterine contractions. With all of these, it's important to distinguish negative feedback from positive feedback. While negative feedback restores balance, positive feedback increases a change.